Hi there, this is Allison from Move Smart Movement and the Boomerang Pilates Studio. And today's Teacher Tip Tuesday is one of the most important things I can think of, which is listen to your clients. They are the best teachers you will ever have. I learn so much from my clients. And today I was teaching a class. We were talking about cat-cow, and we were talking about thoracic extension and thoracic articulation. And the exercise that I was asking them to do had the base of the ribs planted to the floor, lots of support for the head and the neck, so no big neck motion. And the idea was to drape the spine over the half dome, or whatever else you might have if you want to try this at home. And then to maintain this draped position, so there's some thoracic articulation, and then to roll from side to side. But for one client in particular, she said, I can't roll back and forth across my shoulder blades. My shoulder blades are stopping me from getting in the way. And she started playing around with her movement because I said, this is what the goal is. What can you do to make this work? I sort of said generally to the class. And so she started to reach her arm long and straight across her body, which allowed her to protract her shoulder blade and allowed her to find this sense of rolling from side to side in a way that made sense to her, right? It wasn't necessarily getting exactly the same degree of extension that I had initially demonstrated, but it's what worked for her because this particular client does not have a ton of thoracic extension. She doesn't have that articulation available to her. And so this made sense. It brought her brain's attention to that particular part of her back, which she's not super connected to. And we were really talking about how thoracic articulation, thoracic extension particularly, is a real brain game, right? You can't get at it easily without changing your geometry. You can't see it without standing and kind of looking behind yourself or getting a complicated series of mirrors going. And so it's a bit of a blind spot for a lot of people. And this particular client has given me a whole great idea about how to progress that exercise from starting on the floor or even starting in a little bit of thoracic flexion and using that roll, which is a great little warm-up sequence. I use this kind of thing all the time, either straight up and down or adding across from side to side when I'm doing scapular work. But to use that as a starting point and then to come into here and add that motion with the thoracic and the scapular motion happening together. So still in a little bit of flexion, but bringing the brain's attention to that area, doing it on both sides, because of course it's going to be different from side to side. And then seeing how this feels and seeing if that brings you to, or your client to, a better understanding of how to twist the spine and move from side to side rather than the other thing that she was doing was flexing laterally instead of rotating. So there you go. When you are teaching, when you are doing private sessions or classes, listen to your clients, pay attention to the things that they come up with, give them opportunities to discover and explore. So if instead of giving a really specific cue, like I want you to do this all the time, although of course there's lots of space for that, sometimes say the goal of this exercise is to do this or to feel this or to get this motion. How does that work best for you? Because every body is different. And if you teach to the bodies in front of you, that's great. But if you also watch and learn from the bodies in front of you, then you're going to have so many more tools in your toolbox because you're going to be able to teach so many people by learning from all those different bodies that show up on the mat in front of you. So there you go. Teacher Tip Tuesday for this lovely January day. Listen to your clients. They're the best teachers you'll ever have. See you next time.